Assalamu alaikum. Actually, Oxygene is a company, is a value-added distributor, is a company focused on secured mobility. We started with a lot of security solution that you put in your organization. So you end up investing a lot of money in the firewalls, intrusion prevention systems, all sort of UTM solution in your data center or in your enterprise to protect you, and this all wired space to protect you and protect your organization. Now what happened is, with the birth of these mobile devices, and anything that does not have Ethernet port, so anything that does not use the wire, then becomes mobility. Oxygene started doing mobility. Lesson number one, since we started the mobility solution in 2004, rule number one, mobility breaks security. So people who didn't want to break security, they implement mobility at very specific cases in hotels or in areas where it is not important. Now, with these devices, mobility became important because the end users want to access your data. So that's where the birth of BYOD came into play. So the CEOs, the big guys in your organizations, want mobility because they want to access the data with this. So you as CIOs, you end up having to deal with this issue. So secured mobility comes into play. So we're focused on secured mobility, and at the bottom of this, here where you really need to manage the devices from mobile control management, mobile application management, content management, device management, etc. There's MXM. That's called enterprise mobility management. So now you have to think of your security not from here, from the top. You have to come to think from the end user point of view. Your security infrastructure that you built has to move from where you built it into the mobile. So you have to take your security into the mobile. So hence, this is the enterprise mobility layer that needs to be in your organization. Sooner or later, you will all implement BYOD or mobility. And I'm sure all of you have some sort of mobility solution in your organization today. Now, when this guy has some level of enterprise mobility management, now the data is in motion. That's where some of our colleagues talked about the encryption. So now this data in motion needs to be encrypted as it flies to protect you from man-in-the-middle attacks and a lot of other security stuff, hacking stuff. And then that hits the Wi-Fi network. Of course, we're not going to cover the Wi-Fi network. We'll leave it to another sessions. But in the Wi-Fi network, before you go anywhere, then I need to make sure these devices, they go into network admission control, AAA, authentication, onboarding, so a lot of other stuff before I go anywhere. So far, all of this, I haven't touched your network. I'm still on the outside. So we implement products here to do the network admission control and whole other stuff. Okay? Now, I want this traffic from these devices going to get to my network. That's when the requirement for universal threat management come into play. And I will leave some time for my colleague to cover on this stuff. Now, this network, it has to deal with the new challenges. One challenge you have to understand, two things here. There is the internal reactive and proactive. The internal reactive is what do I do if I get attacked? So that's the layer of anti-threat management come into play. How can I correct that problem very quickly? So if my IT manager happened to be changing a configuration on a firewall, he forgot to and opened up a port 80, for example, and he went on for dinner and forgot to fix it, and then I'm vulnerable to attacks. So how do I fix this very quickly? So this is a reactive measure. The proactive measure is I need to do anti-threat management all the time. So, so I have to run anti-threat management on a daily basis, and I have to know whether there is a threat on my network. So when you sit on your board, in a board meeting, and your CEO asks you, are we safe? Well, you can't say 100%. You can say 99%. Yes, we are, and here is a report to show that 99% at that moment, at that time, yes, potentially, yes, we are safe. But remember one thing, hackers, and we learned from this morning, from the sessions today, hackers are always ahead of us. They're one step ahead of us. And all the equipment you buy from us, from anybody outside, it's all after the fact. They're always ahead of us. So 0 day or non-zero day, they're always ahead of us with, and we're just reacting to what they do. Nevertheless, there's a company called Red Seal that deliver the proactive and reactive measure for anti-threat management. So, interest of time, I'll jump into the one layer that is emerging nowadays. So the question to ask, if all of this, and I'm still not safe, and all of this, within very short period of time, a hacker has at least 10 minutes before he can wrap up my network. And all of this investment that we do, we're still not safe. How can we, is there a new layer, a new service that can help me be protected, can help me be safe? And this is, I want to cover this point, is a company called Eyesight Partners, a US-based company. This company basically is about intelligence and cyber war. So if you read Gartner's, you mentioned Gartner many times, called CTI, Cyber Threat Intelligence. What they sell you is intelligence, information. So they have analysts worldwide, and they provide you with intelligent information about hackers, their intent, their motivation. This is all pre-hacking, before they attack you. This is important. That's what I'm talking about. This is a new layer that's emerging. So if you read Gartner, Forrester research, they'll be talking about the new layer. This is the one. So their intent of the hacker, either my friends mentioned, politically motivated, financially motivated, etc. Motivation, the location, where they're coming from Ukraine, from China, from Russia, the methods. So which possibly virus, malware, etc. they will use to attack me with. So they have all that intelligence. Identities, who are they? Which hacking group is this? Alliances, their history. Eyesight Partners, we have a history of 7 years, all stored, so we can share some history with you about the hackers or if there, anything about that. And the evolution. So basically, there's a new layer of intelligence, and this is data, this is paper, it's not equipment. So they provide you a service with their analysts that they exist worldwide. They have about 250 analysts worldwide. Okay, they provide you with this intelligence information to help you to get protected from the potential hacking that will happen on you. So this layer is available now, so you can check it out on Gartner or Forrester Research. It's called CTI layer, and this is not about information, and we will not dump information on you. This is about intelligence. It's not information, it's intelligence. That's specifically for you. That information is targeted specifically at you because you signed the contract with this company to provide you with that information. So without further ado, I will turn it to my friend Imad to cover the discussion on ATP. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid, and thank you for stealing my time. Actually, I have 5 minutes left, and hopefully I can extend it a little bit. Okay. We have the presentation. Well, today I'm going to be talking about the ATP, which is Advanced Threat Protection. But before talking about ATP, I think we should go back a bit and talk about APT, where all started. APT started between, for attacks between countries, especially targeting government and commercial sites. Then when attacks becomes more sophisticated, created the naming for it, which is ATA, which is Advanced Targeted Attacks. Let's first understand the structure of an attack. We all know that, and we talked about today and maybe tomorrow, about the type of attacks. So the attacks are distinct, they are in 3 levels. One is the delivery, and the second one is exploit and execution. For example, how malwares can get to your networks. It can get to your networks in 4 ways. Either you have a phishing email, or through a compromised site, or a physical media like a UPS, or device like smartphone, especially when, for example, we are using our smartphones in a public networks, and suddenly we go to the office and we connect to our network, office network. Then a malware can get to our network, then again execute it with zero-day threat. For example, taking advantage of the vulnerabilities that you will have in your network. This is a snapshot report that's been done on June 2014 that shows the number of attacks that's been done during June. And if you can notice that it has 2 natures. One of them is the distribution, which is for known malwares. And the second one, which is in red, which is these are new malwares that's been created during that month. And the peak was which was on June 20th, where we can see there was 300,000 known malwares discovered at that day, and we have around 100,000 new ones also they've been discovered. So, what is the motivation of attacks? As you can see here, 65% of the attacks motivation is cybercrime. And 11% of it is cyber spy, which is, again, we can see why the APT was, the naming was fainted. So this is a quick threat landscape for 2014. And these are some of the biggest attacks happened that year. And if you can notice the heartbeat attack, which is really, it was the famous and the biggest one. And I think recently there was an attack on Sony. So attacks are coming on daily basis. Some of them we know, some of them they are unknown to us. And of course, just an example that, and we can say that nobody is immune from an attack, regardless of, how much protection you have, you're still being a threat, can be attacked. This is because of the value of the data that you have in your network. So you are, everybody is a target, and I think our job as management to immune ourselves as much as we can. So if you look at the eBay case, 145 million users' accounts were compromised. If you calculate, for example, the number of minutes per year, we'll have 600 minutes per year. And for example, if it takes 2 minutes to change a user password, we're talking about 551 man days per year was wasted just to recover from this attack. And you can see the amount of waste that can be done. And especially with the eBay case, user informations, they were encrypted. So not many information, they were leaked. And you can imagine it will be worse than this if user information were leaked. So after that, after the ATA, I think we know now that since attacks can happen, that we need more sophisticated ways to defend ourselves from sophisticated attacks. And the ATB came along where we can have a different way of defending our network from an attack. To be honest, there is no silver bullet that really protects network infrastructure. It has to be done at different layer of a network with using different technology. And we need to focus on 3 key actions. I think Neil mentioned some of them, which is like mitigation, detection, and remediation. So in the mitigation layer or mitigation phase, we need really to access control and the threat prevention tools. And on the detection, the key thing is identify new incident, and again, the continuous monitoring to discover an attack. So in the mitigation phase, you need to have a firewall, for example, 2-factor authentication, intrusion prevention, application control, web filtering, email filtering, and antivirus. Some companies, some people, they think that antivirus is gone. Okay? However, we think it's differently. And the reason behind that is like if you see that 90% from this report, 90% of the attacks is being created before 2014. So these are known attacks that keep coming as we go. And some of the things also that we need to keep constant monitoring is this report, for example, that shows that there are some users still using Windows XP and Windows Vista, which has known vulnerability issues. So on the detection phase, we're talking about the sandboxing technology, which is it's a new technology that's used in the security. However, it's originally used with the application development phase, and basically having a virtual container and making sure that it examines all the files that you have and takes care of any suspicious behavior. To coordinate our defense strategy, we have to look into the network defense and threat and research and discovery and continuous update. This is the way that we can really make sure that we are as protected as possible. So Fortinet solution comes in place. This last thing. Fortinet solution comes in place where you can see, for example, we have our firewall, and this is to protect the entry level of your network, and we have the FortiMail to protect your mail, and the FortiWeb to protect your web application, and this all powered by the antivirus at all levels. And again, this is all been updated by our FortiGuard labs. This is our command and monitoring center that makes sure that all new viruses has been detected and signatures is being deployed to our hardware and customers. So, as we all know by today, that as the demand on IT increase, the amount of data in your IT infrastructure is increasing. We are target for an attack, so we have to always be to anticipate and react and respond. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ahmad.